everyone, welcome back to Youth Voices, where we spotlight young voices, stories, and journeys that deserve to be heard. So today, we're joined by a special guest. Her name is Arna Verma, a creative student who many of you may already know for her artistic work, but she also has a growing passion and experience in filmmaking. We're excited to hear more about her journey, her interests, and how she's exploring different creative spaces. Arna, welcome to Youth Voices.
Thank you. I'm super honored that you had me here today. Since I was young, I started my creative journey at around 4 years old, and I started with mostly drawing, kind of drawing like fictional characters from TV shows, and that kind of evolved into the portraits I draw today. I also really enjoy playing the piano. I started when I was 6 years old, and music is super important in my life, so it's a hobby that I really enjoy. Additionally, I like to play badminton. I'm not super good at it, but it's something that all of my friends and I can play, and it's something that I really enjoy. I've tried all different kinds of art forms. I've tried painting, drawing, charcoal. I've even tried digital art and animation. And I'm really excited to be exploring filmmaking as an art form as well, as it's something totally new to me. I never really thought about exploring messages and themes through video rather than just 2D aspects. So it's super excited for me to be starting my journey. Beyond art, I really like to spend time with my family and friends. I often play board games with my parents and my sister, as my family is super important to me. Additionally, I also really like to do volunteering. I do a lot of volunteering specifically in art, but I also like to play piano at senior centers. And I also really enjoy learning. I spend a lot of time on my schoolwork, but when I'm not doing schoolwork, I really love to do art, and I would say art and filmmaking are some of my biggest passions.
Yeah, I actually really like sketching. Have you ever tried sketching? Do you do all types of arts? Because I think people just say art, but there's so many dimensions and different kind of ways to do it. So like abstract art. So tell me more about that. Like, what are you interested in?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I really started with sketching and kind of just like drawing traditionally on paper. And then as I grew older, I started to explore more mediums such as painting and doing digital art. And I actually find that to be a little bit more fun to me than sketching because there's so many more like ways, there's more things I can do with paints rather than just with charcoal.
Exactly, just with like
Yeah.
pencil and like
Mhm.
yeah, and I think the color is what makes art so vibrant, and that's why it's so popular because of the different amount of colors we use. It's so beautiful. But before we even talk about the film, take us all the way back. Like, what was the moment, experience, or maybe just the realization where storytelling and creativity stopped feeling like just something you did for fun, and instead it started feeling like something you genuinely wanted to pursue more seriously through filmmaking? I would say, was there a specific point where that shift happened, or was it something that built up over time as you got older? Tell me more about that.
I think it's a little bit of both. A really pivotal moment for me was when I was around 6 years old. I had an art class with my art teacher, and she looked at my painting and she was saying a couple of words of encouragement. She was like, "Have you considered animation?" And I didn't really know what that word meant when I was younger, but as I learned more about animation and how I can use video to do storytelling, I started to really grow a passion for animation and kind of telling stories through video.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in second grade, I pursued a lot of classes in animation, just to try to learn more about the art form. And it was something that I really enjoyed doing, and I carried it over with me, especially through COVID times when there was a lot of extra time on my hands. I kind of started a YouTube channel where I would post some of my animations online. It's really weird looking back at it now, but I'm super glad that I did it because it allowed me to gain the skills that I use today.
Yeah, now that you have that YouTube channel, you can always look back. Like 10 years later, you'll look back and you'll be like, what the heck? Like this is so nice.
Animation is the reason why I really got into filmmaking. I thought it was very similar to animation with the same process of storytelling, production, and post-production. And I was really excited to explore it so that I could learn more about animation and also explore a new art form.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think you also do like art contests and all that, but I'm stepping into the filmmaking itself. What has your journey actually felt like behind the scenes? Not the final product people see, but the process of building everything from scratch, planning it, organizing it, problem solving it, and working through things as they come up. What has it really been like living inside that process while creating your projects?
Yeah, filmmaking is definitely a very different experience from art for me. I started by being an assistant director for a previous film so that I could learn all the skills that I needed to know when I actually embraced the bigger role of director for my own short film. Um, when I did start my own short film, it was a little difficult for me writing the screenplay and everything, kind of bringing the story in my mind to words on the paper. And after that, we had to kind of start doing a casting, figuring out the actors who would do the film. And there were
Yeah.
also multiple days of filming. Um, and it was really interesting to see my story kind of being brought to life. So it was definitely a really fun experience for me. And post-production, when I was editing the film and everything, it was a little bit of a rush, but I spent a lot of time editing, creating the music for my film, and then posting it to film festivals. And it was just a very fun and like a learning experience for me overall.
Yeah, and I feel like every creative journey, it has moments where things don't go as expected too, right? In your own film work, can you take us into a specific moment where things become or became genuinely difficult, whether it's creatively or logistically or personally? And what was that experience in real time? How did you handle it in that moment, and what helped you kind of move forward?
I think one of the biggest problems with my film was poor communication. Some people were getting left out of the loop, and I tried to fix this by kind of setting up systems where I could reach everybody and make sure that everybody was on track.
Yeah, and as you've continued working in film, how has it changed the way you see stories in everyday life? I mean, not just in filmmaking, but in art, or how you observe people, experiences, emotions, or even other creative interests. Has it shifted the way you think about what a story actually is?
Yeah, so to me, art is all about storytelling, and filmmaking really helped me understand that even small moments can have a really big impact on people's life because just very small scenes of doubt or small scenes of happiness can be conveyed in a really long amount of time in a film, which just shows like how impactful those little things are in life. And I really hope to continue conveying these impactful things throughout my filmmaking journey.
Yeah, of course, beautiful. And looking ahead, what kind of stories or themes do you feel most drawn to explore next in your creative journey? I mean, you've done so much, right? So, what's the next step? And beyond just projects, how do you see yourself evolving as a filmmaker and storyteller over time? What direction, I guess I'm trying to say, do you feel yourself naturally moving towards?
Yeah, so this is just the beginning of my filmmaking journey. I really, in the short term, hope to learn a lot more concepts, maybe get a chance to work behind the camera or embrace different roles rather than just a director. But I
Hmm.
would also like to use these filmmaking skills and transition to animation, as I really hope to pursue animation much more in the future, and it's a lot of similar concepts. Additionally, I really want to explore more themes that matter to me. For example, in my film, I explored the theme of a girl finding confidence in herself because it's a bit personal to me. And I want to help people feel seen through my artistic stories. And I just want to keep pursuing that in the future. I
Amazing.
actually, sorry,
Yeah.
I actually do have one question for you. I've always wondered if you could give kids any advice, what would it be? Like thinking about everything that you've learned so far, what's one thing you wish younger kids could understand a little bit better? I feel like it'd be really helpful to hear your perspective about you growing up and figuring out who you are.
I think one thing I would tell my past self is do not rush to grow up. I mean, there's no prize for getting there first, right? Childhood and teenage years are meant for exploring, learning, and kind of figuring out who you are. So give yourself permission to try new things. And even if you're not good at them right away, you're gonna make mistakes. And that's not something to be ashamed of. It's actually how you grow, right? Every failure teaches you something important, whether it's about your strengths, your limits, or what you truly care about. I feel like I would say just stay curious about the world around you, ask questions, challenge ideas, and don't just follow what everyone else is doing because it feels safe. Your path doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It's easy to compare yourself to others. I understand that, especially with the social media, but remember that people usually show their best moments, not their struggles. Focus on your own journey and progress, even if it feels slow. I feel like be kind, not just to others, but to yourself too. And the way you talk to yourself matters more than you think. Encourage yourselves the way you would encourage a friend. Build friendships with people who respect you, support you, and make you feel comfortable being your true self. And most importantly, do not be afraid to walk away from people or situations that bring you down, right? Protecting your peace is important. And also, don't underestimate your voice. Your ideas, your opinions, and dreams matter even if you're young. Speak up, share what you believe in, and stand for what feels right. Okay, at the same time, be open to learning and listening because growth comes from understanding different perspectives. And I would say, lastly, believe that you're capable of more than you think. You don't need to have everything figured out right now. No one really does, right? Take things one step at a time. Stay patient with yourself and trust that you're becoming who you're meant to be. That's all I would say.
Thank you. That was super inspirational.
Yeah, and that was super inspirational too. I really enjoyed this segment, and I'm so glad to have you here. And that was so fun. What do you think?
Yeah, it was super fun. Thank you so much for having me here.
And everyone, that was Arna Verma sharing her journey through creativity, storytelling, and film. Thank you so much for being here on Youth Voices and for sharing your experiences with us again. And to everyone watching, your interests, no matter how different they seem, can all come together to shape your story. We'll see you next time on Youth Voices.